All right, John Morant had some controversial comments. Philadelphia and Brooklyn both riding 8 or 9 game win streaks now, and the Bulls seem to have figured it out a little bit. We'll see if they can keep it up. We're going to talk about all that and more. Another episode of. All right, let's talk about John Morant first because he said while talking to Malik Andrews last week that he's not worried about any team in the West. The only team he's worried about is Boston. And then last night he lost. He did put up 36, but they got shellacked by Golden State without Steph
Yeah.
Curry and without Andrew Wiggins.
And Dylan Brooks was talking smack before the game too. They
Yeah,
were like, "What do you think about having Steph out?" And he's like, "I got Clay tonight." And then you get blown out by like 25 without Steph.
yeah,
You are not fine in the West. The West is very hard, very tough.
very.
Teams from 1 through 13 are all good and could all beat you in a 7 game series for sure. So
Yeah,
the fact that you think Boston is the team you need to worry about is just wrong.
right. And they have to place. I mean, we can talk about the obvious ones: Phoenix, New Orleans, and Denver. But I mean, Dallas would give them a run for their money. Minnesota gave them a run for their money last year, and that was in the first round of the playoffs. They were a 7 seed. So there's
Did they
plenty of
take him to
teams
7 games, 6 games or something?
won 6 games, and Minnesota easily could have won that series. They choked about 3 of those games.
Yeah, that's right.
So I mean, Memphis didn't make any moves to make their team better in the offseason. They said, let's bring back the same guys with more experience and let them develop. And I agree with that assessment. But for John Morant to go out and say, I love the confidence, but you have to at least acknowledge some teams in the West. Just because you
For
don't
sure.
like the Warriors doesn't mean you can't acknowledge them. And I wouldn't even put the Warriors in that conversation right now because they've been bad and they don't have Steph. But they have plenty. There's plenty of teams in the Western Conference right now that can beat Memphis and that probably will beat Memphis, in my opinion. I don't see Memphis going past the second round this year either.
Yeah, I think it's going to be too tough for that to happen. I mean, they could easily play like the Clippers in the first round. Easily.
Exactly.
Like it's going to be rough getting
You'd
to
get
the
run. They
Western
will get
Conference Finals.
run by the Clippers. I mean, the Kings are still a 6 seed, and I think that they are better, but I would not pick the Kings over Memphis. But you have Minnesota's at 10, Portland's at 9, Dallas 8, Utah still at 7, Golden State's at 11. There's plenty of teams here that would give Memphis problems, in my
For sure.
opinion. And I think I love Ja's confidence. I love John Morant to watch him. He reminds me of young Derrick Rose, which is one of the reasons I like to watch him. But he definitely needs to understand that hasn't won anything yet. The
Yeah.
Grizzlies talk like they are the best team in the league and they've won multiple championships. They haven't won
Yeah.
anything yet.
Clay said
Haven't
that
even
after the game too. They were
yeah,
talking about a dynasty or something like that,
yeah.
and you haven't done anything
And
yet.
Dylan Brooks is not the guy to be talking about a dynasty. He's been awful this season.
Yeah, he's just a chucker
Yeah.
who is inefficient. Like
And
they're not very
an
good.
overrated defender too.
I agree. He's just really, really physical.
Yeah, and Pat Bev has got away with it too his entire career. And then when he faces guys that are actually good on offense, they realize that they're not good defenders. Same thing with PJ Tucker. I mean, Julius Randle made PJ Tucker look like his son yesterday. It was
Hmm.
terrible.
Yeah,
I must have watched 4 straight possessions of Julius Randle drive by and a dunk. I mean, some of these old physical or so-called physical guys, I mean, they're not good defenders anymore. No one's good at defense in the league anymore because everyone's too good at offense.
hmm
It's
hmm
just it's just facts now.
Yeah, they pride themselves on their ego, and that's what everybody thinks. That's why everyone thinks Pat Bev is great and PJ Tucker are great. But if you really watch them, they're not great. PJ Tucker just runs up and down the court, I swear, and misses corner threes.
Yeah, he doesn't move on offense. It's either a floater in the lane or he stands in the corner. That's all he gets
Yeah, but Philadelphia is
overall.
looking really good.
And that's
Um,
because of one, Joel Embiid, of course, but James Harden has looked like not exactly Houston Harden because that's different, but he looks like Brooklyn Harden before
did
he
he have
went down with that
22
hamstring.
assists like
Yeah,
2 days
and then he
ago?
came out last night on Christmas and got like what 29 and 10, I think it was.
Yeah,
I mean, he played a
he's in
fantastic game.
shape again. Yeah, they're really scary. They don't even have Tyrese Maxey yet, who's their third scoring option. They're going to
Yep.
be really good.
And then DeAnthony Melton, who they got from Memphis, has been fantastic this season. His 3-point shooting has been great. He's a solid defender. He's not going to stop anyone special, but he can play defense
Yep.
and he fits in that offense because he can go out and get you a bucket driving to the rim, but he also plays his role right. He knows that the offense revolves around Harden and Embiid. He just does his job better than anyone on that team, and it's fun to watch.
Yeah, and if I'm Ja Morant, I'm not worried about just Boston. Because to be honest, I don't know if Boston's even going to get to the finals. There are
Yeah,
too many good teams in the East. Brooklyn on a 9-game winning streak. They're like third in the East right now. They look amazing. I think they're a big away still, but that's something that could be maybe filled at the deadline.
which isn't
Um,
hard to fill either. You don't need a good big.
Definitely
You just need
not.
you just need an average big that can rebound.
Yeah, Nicholas Claxton. Well, I think he's a good player.
Yeah.
They need a true big down there who's going to grab them 12 boards a game.
And even if you got a true big, if you can get a big that can stretch the floor, like not Brooke Lopez, of course, because he's not going anywhere. But if you
Mhm.
get a guy similar to him that can stay outside the paint and allow Claxton to keep playing, because Claxton's been fantastic.
Yeah,
And
he
maybe
has been
move him to
really
the
good.
bench and maybe get a good big that can start. But I like Nicholas Claxton. He's just not big enough. He's not going to be able to contend with Embiid and Giannis and those guys.
Yeah,
But
that's when it gets tough for Brooklyn. And even Ben Simmons has looked better lately too.
right.
He's the X factor for that Brooklyn Nets team.
Yeah, and I
And
mean,
they need him to rebound and run the offense a little bit.
exactly.
Not
I
scoring
mean, and
wise,
back
but
to Philly. Philly has I think Joel Embiid is the MVP right now. Joel Embiid's averaging 33, 10, and 2. He's averaging almost 34 per game, I think. And he scores easier than he's the
yeah,
most
he leads the
dominant
league.
scorer in the league. You can say Giannis, but Giannis has no mid-range shot, he has no three-point game, and he has no free throw game. Whereas Embiid can score at all three levels. He can put the ball on the floor. He is a very underrated passer as well.
And
And he
defender,
can
yeah.
do everything on the offensive end of the floor. And he a good on-ball defender? No, but he can rim protect a decent
No
amount. He's
doubt.
averaging almost 2 blocks per game. So with that being said, I understand there's Tatum and there's Giannis, and if Boston gets the 1 seed, the narrative is going to give it to Tatum. But if Embiid keeps them winning like this, and there's only like a couple game difference in record, I mean he's been snubbed what 2 years in a row now almost.
Yeah.
Lost to Jokic twice.
And in
I
my
think Embiid,
opinion, he's going to lose to him again this year. I mean, Nikola Jokic is just playing out of his mind lately, and I
yeah,
really like the Nuggets' chances in the West. I know they're the 1 seed, so obviously everybody likes their chances, but I think their roster is really well uh, together. They're playing
yeah,
around Jokic. They look really good.
yeah. I think you and I talked about that at the beginning of the season that our two teams like healthy was the Clippers and Denver.
Yeah.
I think Jamal Murray is getting better. Aaron Gordon, that dunk yesterday. Oh my
Oh
God. You
my
see that?
gosh. Yes.
Wow.
That was
I mean, Landry
disgusting.
Shamet just got Aaron Gordon's nuts chopped on his
And
knee.
then and then he like tried to get an
Yeah,
offensive foul call or something like that. It was
that
like,
was
no,
just
you just
that
got
was
your
just stupid.
you
That
just
was just
got to
terrible.
do it.
I mean, his that will be the highlight of his career now is going to be being dunked on by Aaron Gordon.
Hmm. Yeah,
And that's
but
unfortunate too, because he had like 31 points last night, and
yes, he was
all
playing
anyone
so well,
remembers
and
is Aaron Gordon dunking on him.
nobody's gonna remember that. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, but I mean, the league this year is just so talented. Last year, Phoenix was clearly the best team, like playing like the best team in the league, but everyone has double digit losses right now. There's
yeah,
teams that are 10 games over 500, but everyone is very competitive with each other. And it is making the NBA a lot of fun because you look at like the 11 and 12 seeds in both conferences, and you're like, hey, those teams can make the playoffs if they play better.
yeah. The 4 seed and the 10 seed in the West is separated by a game and a half. A
And I
game
believe in
and
the
a half.
East, I believe in the East, 9 through 6 is separated by three, or 11 through 6 is separated by 3 games. So the East has separated itself a little bit more with
Yeah.
Philly, Brooklyn, Cleveland, and Boston, Milwaukee all playing so well. But the West is very tight, and the East is still pretty tight as well. I mean,
Yeah,
what do
the
you
Bulls
think?
are hanging on by a
I mean,
thread.
I want to talk about this MVP thing a little bit longer because I mean, I don't think you can give it to Luca anymore because his team's not going to be good enough. But I mean, Tatum's team is going to be good enough. Jokic's team and Embiid's team are all going to be good enough where you could give the award to either three. So who would you give it to?
Right.
You give it like I think Jokic winning it 2 years in a row automatically eliminates him
It's going to
because
be hard
it
to
is
three-peat.
very hard to win it 3 times. Like he's going to have to do something unheard of. He may have to go for a month where he averages like 35, 11, and 11.
Yeah.
Yes, and
Which he
that's
could do,
which
but
he could do if he really wants the MVP. But does he really want a third one in a row? I think he'd rather get a championship.
yeah, I think he wants to win basketball games with this team more than anything.
Right. So that leaves, and I think the two people that do want it most are Tatum and Embiid. I don't think Giannis
Yeah.
really cares
Yeah,
about the
I
awards
think
that
Tatum
much.
is for sure headhunting for that MVP.
Yep. I think Embiid is too. I think
More than
Embiid's
anybody else.
tired.
Yeah, Embiid
Embiid
for
is so
sure.
tired of fucking if it wasn't for Jokic and like Jokic plays the same position as him, I mean, he has been viewed as the number two center by a lot of people just because of Jokic winning that award. But me personally, I think that Embiid should win the award. If not this year, at some point in his career, he will win it. And he's also, I think he's just as good on the offensive end as Jokic is, and he's better on the defensive end.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean he's a better scorer than Jokic is for sure, and obviously Jokic has him in the passing metric,
Right,
but
but Jokic has, I think, everyone in the league besides LeBron James in the passing aspect.
yeah, and
Maybe
like
Chris
Tyrese
Paul.
Halliburton, he's like third in the league in assists right now
Yeah,
behind
and
Trae Young
and
and
Tyrese
Halliburton.
Halliburton assist wise is great, but as someone that can read the floor, I think Jokic reads the floor better than
Yeah,
anyone in the league. But you
right,
just can't give it. I
100%.
think Jokic is eliminated from the MVP race because of the winning it 2 years in a
The
row.
voter fatigue, yeah, for
Right.
sure.
So it's gonna be between Tatum and it's gonna be between Embiid if I had to pick today. And I would give it to Embiid. I bet a lot of people are gonna give it to Tatum. A lot of people like the young rising star getting the MVP, one seed
Mhm.
in the East, but I just don't know.
I
I don't
mean,
know.
yeah,
I think
Jokic is. I mean, Embiid is probably the most dominant player in the NBA right now.
and
Most
Tatum's had
most
more help.
valuable, probably for sure.
And Tatum's had more help, right? Tatum's team is better
Mhm,
than Philly's team, and
mhm.
they're separated by about 2 games. I think that goes into the award as well.
Yeah, I think
You
coming into
play,
this year
what do you
too, a
do?
lot of people thought Philly wasn't they weren't going to be as good as they are right now.
Hmm.
And a lot of that is because Joel Embiid is just playing out of his mind once again. So
I think,
you're right.
yeah,
He probably deserves that award right now.
right. I mean, Derrick Rose won his MVP award because he had less help than LeBron. That's why he
Mhm.
won that year. Not
Yes.
because
Yeah.
he was 10 times better than LeBron. They had very similar stats, but it was because he led a team that was not as good as LeBron's to a better
And they
record.
got that one seed. The one
Right.
seed is
The one seed, I think, and the
that
one seed
help.
will determine, I think, who win. The one seed in the East will probably determine who the MVP is, unless Ja Morant goes on some crazy run and gets like 35 a game against the Memphis, the one seed. But I just don't see that happening.
I don't see it either. Ja Morant. Ugh.
Um,
I don't
well,
think
I mean, let's
Memphis
move
is
on. Let's
ready
move
to
on to
win a
our
title at
team.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. Let's move on to our team. Talk about the Bulls. I mean, we haven't done episodes since their whole locker room blow up. So I guess we can go through all of it. They lost to Memphis, or not Memphis, lost to Minnesota by 25 points. They allowed 150. During that game, there was a huge locker room outbreak, and apparently many players talked about frustrations towards Zach LaVine because, in all honesty, he was playing like a bitch. He was complaining about not getting the ball enough. He was not good on the defensive end.
Not
He
good.
comes out, and since that, he's averaged 25 a game. He's shooting the same efficiency, if not better than he was last year. And the entire big three of Vooch, Tamar, and Zach have all scored 20 plus points in those 3 games that we've won.
4 games in a row. But
Right,
yeah,
but we've won the Minnesota
yes,
game.
yes.
Everyone scored, but the game
We got
since that
Houston
game we've
tonight.
won.
Houston tonight, which is a another test. We just need to show that we can beat up on
Right,
bad teams like this. This
exactly.
is what we need to do. And yeah, like you said, the 20 points 3 games in a row from our big three is really
Yeah,
a good sign. It's a really
yep,
good sign. And Levine stepping up. He was playing better defense as well. I
yep.
can't say the same about DeMar DeRozan because he was getting sauced by RJ Barrett, even though he hit the nice shot at the end, which means
I
that
mean, clutch,
RJ
love it.
44 doesn't matter. But
Yep.
he was getting sauced on the defensive. I was like, oh my gosh, he can't guard anybody.
No,
But
but who do we switch on to him? Zach LaVine. Zach
mhm.
LaVine switched on
Yep,
to him, and Zach
yep,
LaVine guarded him very well, I think, towards the end of the game. Vooch, they had a better trapping playing. Billy Donovan, I think, actually made good adjustments in game for once, which is really rare in my opinion.
I agree. I
And
think I think the report that came out about the management and Zach Levine not seeing eye to eye has to do with Billy Donovan. I don't think
yeah,
Zach Levine likes Billy Donovan and his game plans at all. Not
right.
to say that that's wrong or right, but that's what I think that problem was. And we saw Goran Dragic get visibly mad with Levine during that Minnesota game, and I think there's been a change in the energy in that locker room since then.
Yep. I think winning also solves a lot of those problems. We've won
That's
and the 3 games we've won in a row, Miami, Atlanta, New York, all teams that are a couple games better than us right now.
mhm.
But those are games you need to win. And we
Yep.
did win those games. Houston
Yeah,
tonight, like you said, I think this is one of those games where you need to just beat them by like 15 to 20 points. You're a better team than Houston. You have more talent. if this a win is a win, I understand if we win and it's close, we win still. But this is a game you need to win by double figures because you have a game Wednesday against Milwaukee, and that's the
Hmm.
type of game where you can prove you can beat better teams. And we have this year. This year we have done the opposite of last year, where
Yep.
we are actually beating teams that we probably shouldn't be beating and are losing games that we could easily be winning.
Yeah, I agree. And this is something we've watched the Bulls do over the years forever, is
Oh,
just
it's
like
so annoying.
play up to our competition. And then when we play bad teams, we like forget how to play basketball. And I don't want to see that tonight again. We really need to step up. And another player who's been stepping up for us has been Patrick Williams. I think he's been playing really good basketball as of late.
His
Just kind of
defense
like
is great.
starting to mesh with the whole offense. Defensively, he looks really good. So I'm actually proud of Patrick Williams for once in his career.
And I mean Vooch also. Like you and I talk about this all the time. Vooch needs to be operating in the mid range, not 3 point line. Vooch needs to be on the block in the mid range. A 3 point line. I mean, he should take two to three threes a game instead of 4 or 5, and he should be operating in the mid range because 18 to anywhere from 16 to 20 feet, he's lethal.
Yeah. I mean, tonight, Alperen Sengun cannot guard him in the
I mean, this
post.
should be
He
20. It
can't.
should be 20 and 10 easy,
He,
easy.
he can't guard. They have to send help over, and he's a good passing big. The
Yes, he is.
offense needs to be run through him. He needs to get the first 5 touches of the game to start out in the post, which he's
Yep.
that's not going to happen, obviously, because
No,
you have DeMar DeRozan who doesn't pass the ball. But he needs to get those touches down there just to like get him warmed up into the game. The defense has to pay attention to him then. When we do this thing where Io and DeMar bring it up, Vooch is trailing. They do a little behind the back pass for him to take a transition three. And I'm just like, there's
why?
15 seconds left on the clock. Go down to the post and
Right.
get the ball.
That's my problem with DeMar's shots. Because if it was like less than 5 seconds on the shot clock, go ahead. I trust you to make a difficult shot more than anyone on the team. But when you're shooting at like his stupid little double pump fake and then still shoot the shot with 12 to 15 seconds on the shot clock, get a better look.
Yeah,
Fourth quarter when it's closing time, sure. But I mean, the first 40 minutes of the game need to be like smart, good shot selection. And that's the biggest problem DeMar and Zach both have is their shot selection has been pretty terrible this season. But in the New York game, Zach LaVine's shot selection was so much better. Was
very good.
fantastic. He drove to the
Very good.
rim. He was getting layups. He was much smarter. He looked fantastic.
He drove to
That
the
was the
rim.
best game I've seen Zach LaVine play his entire career. He was fantastic shooting wise. He was efficient. He had good shot selection and he played defense. I have
Mhm.
never seen a more complete game from Zach LaVine played the entire time he's been in Chicago.
Okay, I'm in agreement with that. All around, yeah, he played fantastic.
But yeah, he's had scoring games that have been like flashier, but that was the most complete all around win that Zach LaVine has contributed to.
Another thing about DeMar taking these shots, he takes up the entire possession, and we don't see Levine touch the ball for 4 possessions in
Right.
a row, or Patrick Williams or Vooch. They're not
Yeah,
involved in the offense.
it's
It
bad.
doesn't seem like there is an offense. It just seems like,
There's
all
not.
right, everybody get out of the way because I'm shooting this ball no matter what. No matter how many pump fakes, no matter if he jumps or doesn't, I'm gonna put this shot up. And it's not a good flow. Nobody is warm. Nobody's ready to score after that. And it's not good. So I would love to see Zach command the ball a little more, Vooch to command
I
the ball a little
yep.
more tonight. So
I
we'll see.
like to see Zach handle the ball a little bit more.
Yeah,
I know he's not. If his shot selection and his decision making continues to build off of what I saw in the New York game, I think he should be able to have the ball in his hands more, especially with Lonzo out, because our best shooter is Zach LaVine when Lonzo Ball is not playing.
yeah.
I think he can get better looks and better mid range shots and get better catch and shoot threes if him and Vooch play a 2 man game more. And the last thing about DeMar's like bad mid range jump shots that he's taking is that he does it when we are winning. We're up 7 points or we're up 8 points. And then you miss 3 shots in a row on the offensive end. All of a sudden we're down by one because the team goes and hits 3 threes on our terrible defense.
Yep.
So
That's exactly
he
right.
and I mean he just needs to be smarter about when he's taking these shots. And okay, one is a heat check, sure. Next possession, maybe cut to the rim and get a dunk.
Yeah.
Like go get a layup.
There's none of that with
Go
him.
get fouled. It'd be different if he was driving to the rim and not getting foul calls. But like this stupid mid-range like turnaround shit, I don't need to see it because it goes in one every like 5 times he shoots it, it goes in. And everyone's like, oh, he hits it. I'm like, no, he doesn't.
Mm,
He hits it once. Once he hits it.
yeah. And it's tough when there's a guy like Io on the court instead of a guy like Lonzo who has to be attended to offensively because he's such a
Yeah.
good three-point shooter. Io is kind of well, I love Io. He's just not as much of a threat to score the ball. So it's kind of, oh, we can key in on other guys like DeMar and Zach more.
Right. And that's where you like to see Io cut to the rim more, drive to the basket. He's a decent corner 3-point shooter, but I mean, Io could be get 10 points a game just off cutting the rim. And you and I have said that about Patrick Williams too. Patrick Williams could get 10 points a game cutting to the rim, but that's also on DeMar to actually pass the ball.
Right, right.
And we
If
don't
he
see that.
passes the ball. We'll see though tonight. I expect Vucevic to get a lot more touches tonight. I think he's gonna have a big game. So
This is
we'll
a
see.
game we should and kind of need to win. Can't really drop these right now when
Would be a
we're
big
sitting at
confidence
13 and
booster.
18.
Yeah, we can't drop many more games like this
Right.
at all for the rest
And
of the
then
year.
if
We're
you can
five
get
games under 500.
right, and if you can get a win 4 games straight, that would be into a game against Milwaukee, who just got like they got whooped by
Yeah,
Boston.
they
I
got
mean,
one.
they got a view. I've never seen someone shut Giannis down like that. I know he had like 26 points, but he was a non-factor in the paint last night.
Yeah, I don't know what their Quizlets are telling them or whatever, but they're able to guard Kevin Durant and Giannis like nobody else has ever been able to do. It's actually
It's
wild.
impressive. And I mean, Robert Williams back is a huge problem for the entire league.
Hmm. For
But
sure.
yeah, I mean, that'll wrap everything up for today. We'll probably do another one. Later in the week, we'll put another one out, talk
Yeah,
about the
something
Bulls,
like
see if
that.
they can get some good wins going into the new year. We have Cleveland coming up too. So, I mean, it's Houston, Milwaukee, Detroit,
Detroit,
Cleveland.
yeah,
Two of
Cleveland.
those games you have to win. If we could steal one from one of the better teams, that would be great. But thanks, guys, for tuning in. We'll catch you guys next time.